Hi, everybody. Welcome to the latest CyCast, and we have an outstanding guest today in Lisa Greiner Connelly. And Lisa was a two-time honorable mention All-Big 8 basketball player for the Cyclones from 1986 to 1989, and she nearly scored 900 points in her outstanding career. And you can always find Lisa back in Ames attending reunions and supporting her Cyclones. Welcome to the CyCast, Lisa.
Well, thank you. I'm glad to be here. Thanks for asking me.
Yeah, the first question I have for you, Lisa, is growing up in a tiny town of Selma in southeast Iowa, I guess I'm assuming that sports were a big part of your life as a kid growing up there?
For sure. Growing up in southeast Iowa, small town, rural, sports were a big thing. I not only played basketball, but I also ran track, and I also ran cross country. Very active throughout my high school career. If we weren't playing basketball or doing track or going to school, I was working on the family farm.
Yeah.
And so it was a big part of my life. My dad was a football player in high school and ended up playing a couple of years in junior college out in Colorado, and so sports was his thing. And so being the oldest daughter of four kids, it was the thing that he wanted us to pursue. Obviously, me being 6'1", kind of pushed me towards the basketball a piece of it. And, my middle school coaches immediately gleaned onto that. We're like, all right, we've got a 6'1" girl here. What are we going to do with her? And so, so it started there in junior high and went out throughout my career in high school.
I guess I'm assuming you guys had a basketball hoop somewhere on your farm to shoot at?
We did. Dad put one up right outside the house. We had this 4-level split home where we had this huge concrete retaining wall. And he put up a basketball hoop right there on the retaining wall, and that's where we spent many of hours, me and my brothers and my sister, shooting baskets, playing one-on-one. My dad was always, if he wasn't working, he was out there with us shooting baskets and roughing us up and trying to get us prepared for the next big game.
Yeah. So when you were in high school, Lisa, it was still 6-on-6 basketball. And, the tournament at that time, I think a lot of people don't remember, it was just such a big deal. And, it was such a, I think Iowa as a state was far more advanced than other states of allowing girls to play basketball. And, such a, even back in the 20s and everything. But your senior year, I think you had a 45-point game. Obviously, you were a forward and not a guard because you were scoring. How much did you enjoy the 6-on-6 game?
At the time, that's all I knew, right? And so I appreciated it. I didn't like the fact that we could only dribble twice and then we had to pick the ball up.
Mm-hmm.
And so that was interesting. But the game itself did teach me a lot as far as, playing forward at like being a pure shooter. Even though I wasn't on the defensive side, we did have to play defense at some point when the other team's guards had to bring the ball up, but then obviously had to stop at half court, right? And then knock the ball over. But yeah, I enjoyed the game because it was high scoring from my perspective. I was very tall. Back then 6'1" was very tall. This day and age it's not, but was able to lob the ball in. I had great teammates that were able to get me the ball. I'd turn around and I'd shoot it, right? And so that prepared me as far as post play. But the game was always high scoring. A lot of people would probably argue with me that, or with other people, that 6-on-6 it stops at half court. What kind of game is that? But it was huge for Iowa, for the state of Iowa. And like you said, the tournaments, it was always a huge deal. They put on a great show. People would drive from all over the state to come to the tournament. And the halftime shows that they put on were always cool. So yeah, it brings back a lot of memories during that era.
Yeah, and obviously you had made the decision that you want to continue to play basketball in college, and I always ask people from your era, how much do you think maybe playing 6-on-6 might have hurt you in the recruitment just because I think there was an assumption from a lot of college coaches that you didn't know how to play defense. And
Right.
did you find that in hurting you a little bit in the recruiting process?
I think so. Even though I did play a little bit of defense my senior year, my high school coach did get me involved on the defensive side of things just because I was being recruited to play at the college level. And so, he would, when we were up by a considerable amount, he would throw me in on the defense
Okay.
side. And so I learned a little bit about that game, but I also feel that I kind of I was able to pick it up naturally. I just had a knack for following the ball, being able to anticipate where that pass was going to go, and I was pretty quick, and so for my size, and so when I went into the college game, I picked it up very very quickly. Now I can't say that about a lot of players
Yeah.
in the 6-on-6 world, but for me, it just felt very natural
Yep.
to pick up that piece of the game. But yeah, definitely, I think from a recruiting standpoint, it probably did hurt our chances a little bit. But as I said, from a 6-on-6 standpoint, I think that people or colleges, coaches saw that we were better shooters because that's what we had to, but that's what we were really focused in on.
Yeah, and I think because I've had conversations with a lot of coaches that coached college during that era where they were in Iowa, but obviously it was a different game because college was 5-on-5, and I think a lot of times they would say that the one thing you're going to get out of an Iowa player is that they're going to be a good shooter,
Right.
but on the flip side they were worried about ball handling,
Yep.
but going into your recruiting process, I guess what I want to ask you, Lisa, is what schools were looking at you, and then why did you decide on Iowa State and Coach Pam Weddick?
Yeah. So I think early on, I had a lot of small schools. Obviously, were very interested. I was getting phone calls from across the state, and from Missouri, from the smaller Division II uh, schools. And so, but was really started to pick up near the end, like my junior year and into my senior year, where the Division I schools were starting to pay attention. And so, a lot of that was just through my high school coach. He would take the tapes from our ball games, and he was mailing them out to
Okay.
those different schools to get that exposure for me, because in Southeast Iowa we didn't get a lot of media coverage from like the Register, um, and so he anticipated that by obviously sending out my videotapes. And with that, I had Drake that was recruiting me. I had Minnesota and Oklahoma State, in addition to Iowa State. And so I did make visits to all four colleges. I remember going down to Oklahoma State. Was the first time I'd ever been on an airplane. So they really, and so that was kind of that was a fun experience with my mom. But
Yeah.
went down there and visited the other colleges, and when I finally went to Iowa State, I ended up staying with a player, Kathleen O'Neill, which people
Yep.
know as KK,
KK.
who's still a very dear friend of mine today. But she was my roommate, and so took me around. I was just very impressed with the team members. I was impressed with what the coaches had to say. I know it was Pam's Weddick's second year going into the program, and so taking a program who had I think maybe 4 wins, I think the previous year that she came on, and was able to start turning that around. And she had, high goals, high hopes for the team, wanted to make her mark at Iowa State and tried to bring women's basketball out, out in the forefront, and to start competing with Iowa. Because like back then, we had Vivian Stringer and
Yeah, absolutely.
Iowa Hawkeyes, and they were very well known. And so trying to, not that we ever got to that level, but just to start building that base and that groundwork to get Iowa State on the map. And so I wanted to be a part of that. I was impressed with the academics and what they could offer from that perspective, and knew that I could come in and maybe start contributing right away not to be able to start, but able to get some playing time as a freshman as well. And that's what really brought me to Iowa State.
Yeah. Well, Lisa, you came into a great situation your first year at Iowa State, which was the 1985-86 season, and arguably that was probably the best season by Iowa State women's basketball until the Fenley era. And 19-9 in the overall record, 8-6 in the Big Eight. I think tied for fourth in the Big Eight. It was a great year for Iowa State, and that was your freshman year. You had a chance right away your rookie year to play with some really good players like Stephanie Smith and Jane Lobenstein. What was that like that first year?
It was kind of shock and awe for me, I think. Just coming in, I was a little naive growing up in small town Iowa, but when I I felt welcomed right away from the team members. I remember, I felt like I could compete. I considered myself very competitive, and so I mean, what I wanted to do, I wanted to start. I was like, I want to come in here and I want to start. Not, and knowing that it probably wasn't going to be right away as a freshman, but I wanted to earn the respect of my team members, and I wanted to be able to push them. And so, Jane, she was like our general of the floor. I mean, she was our captain. She was as competitive as they could come. She pushed us all hard while we were in practice. I remember her passing the ball so hard to me one time. It hit me in the face, and I was, it was just the quickness of the game. It was so much faster than what I was used to. And so getting used to that was a challenge, but I was able to overcome that, and playing with Stephanie, she was a riot. She was always so fun, but she was a great. She came in from St. Ambrose. She was a transfer player, and so she came in because we needed a center because Tanya Burns obviously had graduated the year before and had left a big void in the program, and so Steph was able to come in and contribute right away. She was scoring in double figures, rebounding with double figures. And the two of them, I looked up to, because I'm like, that's who I want to play with. That's what our team, this is what we want to look like. We were competitive. We were, fierce, and we were able to, we made our mark. Like we had a great record that year. And it was too bad that we were knocked out the first round, within tournament play in the Big Eight tourney. But, it was a great run and a great year.
Yeah. Overall. Was there, help me out during that time, while you're having that really good year, your freshman year, was there talk of NCAA tournament hopes? I mean, was there, I know they probably didn't have bracketology back then and all the stuff that you see now, but did you guys have a feel that maybe that you guys did have a chance to get into the NCAA tournament?
It was talked about, but Coach Weddy kind of squashed it. I mean, she really, really wanted to focus in on the Big Eight tournament, and because obviously if you win the tourney, it's an automatic bid.
Yep.
And so she really wanted us to finish in the upper division so that we could play that first round game at home. We ended up not being able to do so, but that was really her focus that year. It's just really the Big Eight tourney and doing well there.
Yeah.
But not to say that I'm sure in the back of her mind, in the back of some of the players' mind, we were hoping we would get, a first round into the NCAA tournament.
Yeah, yeah. Well, by the time you're a junior, Lisa, you're a full-time starter. And had a great year. Averaged 12 points. 6.7 rebounds a game. Made all mention all Big Eight, and you had a great chance to form a really great front court with Carmen Jaspers. What was it like to play with Carmen? Because she was also an All Big Eight, player here at Iowa State. But I didn't see a lot of those games, but I can't imagine that had to have been one of the best front courts in the league at that time.
Yeah, I would say we were a 1-2 punch, and not just me and Carmen. I think I have to give credit also to Tracy Horvath, who was our point guard. She came in and she was running that offense, but it was fun because we were the three of us came in as the only freshmen that year, and then we ended up being roommates, um, off campus, and developed a friendship along the way, not just on the court, but off the court as well. But it was fun because Carmen, with her size and her finesse that she had within the the paint, she was able she scored high, double digits, and rebounded very well for us. And if the defense was coming in and two timing her or triple teaming her, she was able to punch that ball out to either Tracy or I, or at that time it was Vanessa Ward or Shelly Coyle.
Yep.
And we were able to get that ball back out and be able, and to be able to shoot, from the outside, to be able to draw that defense out so that we could get the ball back into Carmen. But yeah, she had a really nice soft touch on the ball. And she had a presence. And like I said, it was fun. I mean, we had a great time. Even though our season wasn't the best season that we would have hoped for, but I think you could say that we competed. I think when we showed up, the other Big Eight teams were definitely focused in on Carmen and how they were going to stop her. And if they couldn't, then they were going to focus in on Tracy and or me or
Yep.
Vanessa and or Shelly. And so, it was like you said, it was a good front court. And just being able to have that game kind of similar to what we had when we played 6-on-6, right? To be able to have the ball, bring it on into the post play, and being able to score that way. So yeah, it was a good time.
Yeah. Well, by the time you were here at Iowa State, Lisa, the women's basketball team was playing full time at Hilton. What were some of your favorite memories of playing in Hilton? Because I think people forget, like, this arena has really stood the test of time, and it's one of the best in the country.
It is, and I didn't really have any idea what it was like. I mean, obviously we don't have we did not have the amount of fans that they do now. But and being able to, and I could say, like, my freshman year, we probably had more fans at my high school games than we did at my college games the first year. But with that great season that we had, I think we went from a few hundred people that were attending to, ended up, maybe 2,500 to 3,000 people by the end of my career. And just to be able to, when you're down during a game and you need that extra support, it's always great at Hilton because it gets loud and it's wild and it's crazy, right? And to hear that really instills that do not give up type of feeling, to bring you back into whatever you're trying to attempt at that point in time, whether you're down by 20 or you're down by 2 or you're up by 5, right? And it's just having that fan support they call it Hilton magic, and it's like no other in the country, from what I have witnessed. But I would say my biggest memory at Hilton was a game my freshman year. We had just gotten a new scoreboard, and the scoreboard actually went out to the 10th second. We were down. It was Colorado, and we were down. We tied the game. I think it was Stephanie got fouled, and she was on the free throw line, I think, and we had 0.7 seconds left with that ball game. And so Coach Weddick had told us not to get in the lane because she didn't want us fouling. But Stephanie ended up missing the free throw shot, and Jane Lobenstein came in from the left side. She was able to pick up the rebound, tip it up in one fell swoop, and ended up scoring, and winning the game. And so that was pretty exciting to break in the new scoreboard that goes out to the 10th, and winning that game.
Yeah, because that new scoreboard came in the middle of the year, right? That year of your freshman year, the new scoreboard came in like in the middle of the year, right? Yeah.
Yep, it sure did.
Yeah.
And we weren't able to have it go out to a 10th prior to that, so that was pretty cool.
Yeah. Sharing, go ahead, Lisa. I'm sorry.
I think also from the Hilton perspective and my memories there, my freshman year also, they had just remodeled the women's basketball locker room. Prior to that, I don't know what it looked like, but yeah, that was a really cool thing that when I came into having a locker room that was dedicated, um, stalls for each individual player, having your name up on the board. So that was something that I hadn't been used to as well, that
Yeah,
I
yeah,
have a great memory of that.
yeah. Sharon, court time at Hilton was really difficult at that time because there's so many sports going on in the winter, and Iowa State did not have basketball practice facilities for either men or women at that time. So you probably had to practice a lot at either at State Gym, Beyer Hall, or the old PEB. What are some of your favorite memories of on your practices at those venues?
Yeah, I would say State Gym always holds a place in my heart. I remember the smell going into that gym, that old musty smell, where we put in a lot of time for practices, scrimmages, even off season we were in there doing pickup games that were led by our captains, and then people who that were in intramurals or whatever could come in and play against us. That I love, like I said, I love the oldness, I guess, of that gym. But I
Yeah,
also remember that we also did our conditioning outside of the gym on that track. It was an old cinder track, that we spent a lot of mornings preconditioning and running sprints, very early, like at 5:30 in the morning prior to class, that we did, prior to season as well, and
yeah,
anticipating, running up and down the floor with the quick game that Coach Wedding wanted us to do. So,
sure.
yeah.
Well, your junior year again, Lisa, you were named a Big Eight Player of the Week during the year. We had a back-to-back awesome games against Colorado and Oklahoma. You had, I believe, a career high 25 points against Colorado that year. Um, would you rank that as one of your top accomplishments, during your time at Iowa State?
Yeah, I would say, yeah, my career high was a great accomplishment. I wasn't so focused in on scoring a lot of points. I felt like my role was to obviously be a spark plug for our team, be a leader, but also play different roles. I played, guard, I played forward, I played center, depending on who our competitors were and how we lined up. And I always gave 110% with whatever position I was assigned to. I think the other thing that I'm most proud of is that my junior and senior year, I was given the Ralph A. Olson Award. During that time, was given to the player that contributed most to the team on and off the court.
Yep.
And that was voted on by my teammates. And so that's another thing that I'm very proud of, was getting that award 2 years in a row.
Yeah.
But
Well,
yeah,
I knew you. I knew you got it as a junior. I did not know you got it as a senior. So congrats. That's awesome.
thank you.
Your senior year, Lisa. Again, I'll mention all Big Eight. The team went 15-13, another good year. But there's some games I just kind of want to. Well, one game in particular I want to talk to you about. 3 of your wins in the league were in overtime, which is pretty impressive. But
Yeah.
the one I want to talk to you about is the win at Oklahoma State your senior year, which I believe is the biggest comeback in Iowa State history in either men's or women's basketball. Down 23 points in the second half with 12 minutes left. It's almost impossible to come back and win the game, but you guys did. And not only that, I think with 2.5 minutes left, you're still down 11. So
Right.
what are your memories of that game? Because
Yeah.
that's incredible.
That was a crazy game. That was a game, from what I remember, of extremes. Because the score would change so quickly. I mean, we were, even though we were down by 23 in the first half. I remember coming in. We would like close the gap within 7, and then with a few minutes we were down by 19. So I mean, and it was a very fast-paced game. There were a lot of fouls, I think, if I remember, from both sides. They were calling it very close, but the thing is, you know, they were Oklahoma State shot very well in that first half. And we did not as a team. I think we were like, I don't know, mid 30s or something like that.
Okay.
Um, and so, at halftime, I remember Coach Whitty coming in and, you know, and saying she pulled each one of us aside as far as the starters. And then she also was looking at the ones who were coming up, key players off the bench. And she directly talked to us about, okay, this is your role. This is what I want you to do. This is how we're going to stop, the player that you are assigned to. And you guys are going to have to go out there and give it all you got if we're going to come back and win this game. And so, we came out in the second half, and it went back and forth again. But the thing is, we were able to defensively start shutting Oklahoma State down. We started a really tight man-on-man defense. We were able to get some turnovers. We started shooting better. I think we ended up shooting like over 50% for the game, even the low 30s to begin with. And then with that, Oklahoma State was not shooting well. We started running. And so with all the conditioning that we had done preseason, it started to pay off. But, we were able to get it to go into overtime. And I remember Vanessa Ward was the one that threw up the 3-pointer, and it was her first 3-pointer of the season that she made.
I think it was the first 3-pointer of her career.
And so she drilled it, and we went into overtime, and we were able to, sustain that lead and ended up winning the game. But it was crazy, but it was a fun game.
Well, the last 2 minutes, I was actually checking the play-by-play, and it seemed like everything went your way the last 2 minutes. I mean, they missed front ends. Oklahoma State kept missing front ends of one-on-ones. You would come down and make 3-pointer, cut the gap, miss a front end of one-on-one, and that's how you come back from those big deficits. So once again, that game has to be the biggest comeback. I mean, we don't have the records, but it has to be the biggest comeback in either men's or women's basketball in Iowa State history. Second half comeback. So pretty impressive. Lisa, the one great thing, you've remained connected to Iowa State through the years. We see it all the time at reunions. We love it. Why is Iowa State so important? Iowa State athletics and Iowa State in general so important to you?
I look back, that was the 4 years that I played ball and went to school there. Those were like one of the best 4 years of my life. I not only developed key friendships along the way, but I figured out who I was as a person, as far as like building up resilience, coming back from adversity, learning how to be a teammate, learning how to be a leader. And just having fans that stuck by us no matter if we were winning or losing. And I think you find that still today with our fans. I mean, no matter what program you're in, whether it's basketball, football, whatever, wrestling, no matter how we're doing, we've always had this great fan base. And that's really, that just shows you the support and the resilience of our fans that consistently and show up and cheer us on along the way. And I love being a part of that. I love coming back and seeing my friends who I haven't seen. That's the time that we reconnect, and sometimes it's just one time a year. But I just love to see what's going on with the women's athletics and with the program, and how much that women's basketball has really been put on the map in this past decade. And there's been a lot of focus and a lot of attention to it. And just showing that women can compete, whether it's through sports or at work or wherever, and it's just been really cool to watch that evolve since I've been there, several years ago.
Yeah, and how proud are you with the success of the Iowa State women's basketball program? Obviously in the last 25 years since Coach Finley took over.
Mm-hmm. It's been amazing. I think Coach Finley's done an awesome job. What he said Elite 8 appearances, Big Sweet 16 appearances. He's had All-Americans come out of that program. He's had women that have gone on to the WNBA. I think he has brought the attention to the program and put it on the map. You're not gonna, and I think he actually got over what his 800 over 800th win as a in his career last year, which just shows you the strength and the dedication that he's put into in coaching women's basketball, and his belief in those girls, and and just making them better people once they graduate and move on to the next chapter in their lives. And I see that when people come back, and how they talk, and how they talk about their memories, and talk about their time during at Iowa State, and just how much they appreciate that focus and that dedication, and the support and the belief in them as people, not just as athletes, but just as people in general, has really helped develop those people into what they are today. And I just really appreciate that.
Well, Lisa, thanks so much for joining us on the CyCast. It was so great to catch up on your career, and once again, we're going to see you here soon at the Women's Basketball Reunion. It always is a pleasure to see you, and so thank you so much, and go Cyclones, right?
Right, go State.
Thanks, Lisa.
All right, thank you. Have a